Maybe I'm just nostalgic, or maybe it's truly magical. Oh, when I see that castle, the feeling is truly magical. Maybe I'm just nostalgic. Maybe it's truly magic. Maybe I'm just nostalgic. Maybe it's truly magic.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Brooke.
And this is the DisNeathoes podcast. So, guys, for today's episode, what we are going to talk about is a little movie that just came out recently known as Dumbo. As you guys know, in a slightly earlier episode, we watched and recapped the original Dumbo, shared our thoughts and feelings on all of the craziness and offensive things within that film. And recently, the film has been readapted into a live action, yes. Live animation. Into a live action film.
I mean, it is some live animation. It's CGI.
Lion King is a live animation.
Yeah. Jungle Book, too.
And we have it directed by the one and only
Tim Burton.
TB. So, really, Brooke, let's just hear from you first. I'd like to know kind of your first thoughts and reaction from the film.
So, it doesn't feel like a Tim Burton movie, first and foremost. I was expecting this movie to be very dark and get very weird, as Tim Burton likes to do. I think there were a lot of crazy, dark themes in the original that he really could have explored and brought to light in this one, and he didn't. It felt very safe for a Tim Burton film. Very safe. No risks here, except for, like, maybe the casting. That was a risk.
I would actually agree, and I think we might have talked about this a little bit when we watched the original, in that because it was kind of dark, that's why it made sense that Tim Burton was going to be reimagining the film. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping for that darkness to it.
Yeah.
I was kind of starting to think of how he did, like, Alice in Wonderland, and it was very dark and whimsical, and that's what I was hoping for. And, yeah, very kind of let down by it.
It's very play it safe, very vanilla. Sorry, Matt. I know you love vanilla. But it just, I don't know. I was expecting a lot more. Like, even the baby mind scene, it did make me sad. Like, I mean, that's just a fucking sad scene in general. I really did like the new spin on the song, though, on the ukulele. That was really pretty. I really liked that a lot.
With the woman that was doing it?
Yes. But, like, it's still, like, it just didn't feel dark. And even the pink elephant scene, like, they totally changed that up. And it was not scary like it was in the first one. It was just kind of like this interesting little tidbit. I was happy it wasn't quite as long, the pink elephant scene. But it just, I was like, this doesn't feel right.
It definitely felt more in, like, the vein of an Edward Scissorhands or a Big Fish compared to, like, Tim Burton's other stuff.
No, not Edward Scissorhands, more Big Fish.
Like,
yeah,
like the style of Big Fish, but I think it definitely had that Edward Scissorhands aspect of, like, character that everyone sees as a freak except for, like, this one family that, like, really sees the potential in it.
I don't think they do, though. Because, like, at first they see him as a freak because of the ears, but then, like, everyone seems to get over that really quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Except those three kids. There was those three little boys.
Oh yeah,
the
Pinocchio kids is essentially what they were.
They actually were very much like the Pinocchio kids, making fun of Dumbo, and they were also in the original. Those little kids made fun of Dumbo. So
the Pinocchio kids.
That's
just what I'm going to call them.
Let's talk a little bit about the worst casting and character of the movie, which is that stupid fucking daughter of his,
Millie. Her name is Nico Parker.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. 5 minutes into the film, and she spoke 2 lines, and I was over her character.
You said it best. Like, she did say, like, 2 lines, and Andrew was like, they're forcing her.
Yeah, they're forcing her personality of this I don't want this show life. This is all hoopla.
I'm a scientist.
I'm a scientist. I do experiments and I'm intelligent and I don't buy any of this hoopla.
She was basically like Hermie the elf.
Hermione?
Hermie the elf
from Misfit Toys.
Yeah, where she's like, I'm gonna be a dentist.
Yeah,
He's a little fucking cockblock, that guy.
I really just wasn't a fan of her character.
I wasn't at all, but mainly because of her dead expression. Her face is the same the entire movie. It doesn't ever change. She shows no expression. She like smirks at one point, and even then I'm like, that's bullshit. That ain't real.
Yeah, and
she's the daughter of Thandie Newton from Westworld.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She would have fit better in Westworld.
The dude that directed Mamma Mia, the new one. Here I go again.
That's his daughter?
Yeah, that's their daughter together.
That's a shame.
Yeah, she really, I feel like, let the family down.
Yeah.
This was her first ever acting role.
Really?
Yeah.
Well.
And she said something like, wouldn't it be so great to go out on top like with this movie? And I was like, oh, sweetie.
Oh, is that what she said?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like, have
really
you
don't
seen
like
the
her.
kids that, grew up in Game of Thrones? Like, those kids can act. They're going out on top.
Yeah.
And they're going to act after this.
She just had a bite to her. And, maybe it was her proving herself that she could be different, and maybe it's low-key resenting the fact that her parents were in the circus because she lost her dad to the war. I mean, he came back without an arm, but he was gone.
What purpose does that serve in the movie, too?
The mother left, the dad going away.
Yeah, in the war.
I think the only things that I would gather from that is, one, the time period, to help establish the time period of when this was happening. And the war also speaks to why they were having trouble with the circus from a financial perspective.
Well, wasn't it because people died, too? Like, you was talking about influenza took them. And I feel like even you could have had this same thing without sending the dad to war. He could have lost his wife to influenza, and that would still give us a time period piece.
That would have actually made sense.
Because we know when, like, influenza was killing people. I mean, it still is to this day.
The only other aspect that it really adds is, like, establishing that these kids grew up without either parent for a decent amount of time, because you have to imagine he was gone for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So they were being raised by like the magician and his wife or something like that for a few years. So like, because you think about the ages of them and like how long someone's usually off to war, they probably were like 2 or 3. So this is like early interaction with their dad for the first time. But yeah, it's not really, they don't play it up. They don't do anything to really make that a central storyline.
They don't. And talking about the dad's character, what's his face? Oh, his name escapes me.
Colin Farrell.
Holt.
Yes, our Scottish man. Is he Scottish?
Oh, his
Irish.
name's Holt
Irish.
in the movie.
Holt in the movie. I didn't like his character either.
Yeah.
He was boring. He didn't really, like, I don't know.
I mean, the star of the show is Dumbo. The elephant looks great throughout
He's
the movie.
so cute. Dumbo is so
Dumbo's
cute.
adorable. And actually, he's probably like the best character of the whole film. And he doesn't talk.
It's the most
He has
expressive
the
character.
most
Yeah.
expression of anyone.
did.
And like Michael Keaton, like I was expecting him to be a really cool character, but he was just angry the whole time. They're like,
Michael-
just be angry.
They originally
And aggressive.
pitched that role to Tom Hanks first, and
Oh
Tom
my God,
Hanks
can
turned
you
it
imagine?
down.
Tom Hanks is like, no.
He would have done it a little better.
I think he would have done it better because it would have been like the first time you saw Robin Williams play like an evil character. Like you're just not prepared for it, so you're just like, oh, it's Tom Hanks, everything's going to be okay. And then it's like, oh, he's crazy.
No, I think Tom would have done it in a much more like quiet kind of way. Where like Michael Keaton's much more in your face aggressive. Like that's going to be his
Yeah, he
style
definitely
of the
turned into
character.
Beetlejuice towards the last like 15 minutes.
Yeah,
of that
it
movie.
was just really.
I'm trying to think who would have been really good in that role.
Well, it depends on what you're looking for. I think Tom Hanks would have been more like vindictive, like Littlefinger-ish.
Yeah.
You watch Game of Thrones, Littlefinger.
No.
It's like very behind the scenes, like conniving
Don't
and
do
like
Game of
manipulating.
No Game of Thrones here. Sorry.
Okay, well, I'm saying that's who Littlefinger is.
Okay.
So that's how I think Tom Hanks would have played it.
Yeah.
And like Michael Keaton, he was just fucking aggressive as hell.
Danny DeVito was decent.
He was
I-
alright.
Yeah.
He was Danny DeVito.
Yeah, he was
That's
Danny
the thing. Danny
the
DeVito
entire
just
time.
plays himself in every film. I got a Matilda vibe from him in this
Yeah.
movie.
I feel like the most interesting characters are like all of the random side characters in the circus that they don't really.
I
do
really
too much
liked
of.
the girl
I love the strong
the
man
mermaid.
who's doing like 14 different jobs at the circus.
Well, yeah, that was a
Okay.
little bit of racism brought into
So,
the movie
yeah.
that we need to discuss.
So yeah, right there, guys. We talked about the old movie and the clearly insensitive racism at the time period
Yeah.
with the dark shadowed workers
And the Jim Crows.
and the Jim Crows, which Jim Crows were not in it at all.
There was a slight reference to them in the introduction to Dumbo where they said the lyrics to Elephant Fly, but that was about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a reference to
Yeah.
their song.
There's a bunch of really great references hidden in the movie. That's one of my favorite parts of it.
And there was that, and what was I going to say?
His name? Are you talking about, like, so there was racism in the first
Yes,
movie?
yes. So in this one, we had Rongo
the strong man.
Rongo the strong man, and I quickly made the reference Rongo Mongo, just short for Mongoloid,
Yeah.
which
He was
is
the
offensive.
only black character.
And he was the only black character, and
Yeah.
he was
It just
the
felt
one
like,
that did the bitch work, kind of.
Well, he
I
was
didn't
like
like that.
security. He did the music and like was also the strong man. He did a
Did
bunch
all
of
the
different
books.
stuff.
Yeah,
Handled their press.
he was the only person in the film, though, that really had to do all these jobs, and they continued to reference all the work he had to do.
It just felt like, I don't know, a little weird.
Yes.
I was like, why is he the only person of color? Really? Well, there was another person. There's the Middle Eastern guy. At least I believe he was Middle Eastern, who did the snake charming.
Yes.
So he was in there. But like, it
Of
just,
course he was Middle Eastern. Disney wouldn't have casted somebody that wasn't Middle Eastern for that role. That would be racist, guys.
yeah, that would be whitewashing, wouldn't it?
What are
Very
you saying?
much
Do you think Anne
whitewashing.
Hathaway should have been the Snake Charmer?
She could have been that French girl. And it, what was her name? The goddess of the
Anne
heavens?
Hathaway could
Colette.
have been that French girl.
Mhm.
She actually would have done that well.
She was a white French girl. Yes, Anne Hathaway could have played a white French girl.
I don't
Believe
like,
it or not.
I don't like to look at things as black and white. I'm sorry.
I also
Well, we
was-
just did.
Also was not a fan of how cartoonishly evil the one circus worker was with the elephants. That
Oh, that dies? Or,
yeah,
Spoiler alert. he
something
dies in the
happens to
beginning.
him. Yeah, he's just like so cartoonishly evil.
Yeah, he's like a caricature of like just a bad person.
Which one?
The guy that was like abusing Mrs. Jumbo in the beginning, and that dies.
Yeah,
He was so random.
and I'm glad he died.
Yeah, me too. I was like, thank God.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be like a continuous character throughout the movie, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah. No, I was glad he died. He served no true purpose. And that's what happens to people.
I mean, the biggest plus for this movie is that the elephant flies sooner than during the last 30 seconds of the movie.
Yes.
That I'll tell you. Thank you for bringing that up, because one thing that I wish there would have been more of in the original movie was more of a focus on Dumbo.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't till the very end that you actually got to see something. And so while I hated that they went to the whole dreamland and had that whole extra unnecessary half hour of this movie,
Yeah.
I like that they did it just for the sake of giving more focus on Dumbo and his ability to fly. That
Yeah.
was cool. And that he went and, like, saved the family.
Mm-hmm.
But, I
also
mean...
think it's weird. Like, Dreamland is Disneyland, right? Like,
It reminded me
definitely-
of Tomorrow World.
Yeah, like, it's definitely like Disneyland, and that makes Michael Keaton's character Walt Disney.
I
And
was
it's really
thinking
weird
that.
that he's, like, the evil character in a Disney movie.
Well, that's the people at Disney kind of crying out with their message, like, help us, help us.
Maybe that's what Tim Burton really thinks of Disney.
Yeah. I mean, he used to work for Disney and quit, like, mid-movie and vowed to never work for them again until, like, recently.
Can
so.
you tell that this is a feather? Because
Yeah,
I'm
I knew right away.
I'm doing Dumbo artwork over here.
There's that famous Dumbo coffee mug that Andrew's
Yep.
drawing.
I tried to make my coffee.
But I seriously, like, I really hated the whole Dreamland. Like, from that point in the movie, it was just like, this is completely unnecessary. You're not really doing anything to further the plot. It's just about showing that Dumbo doesn't need his feather to fly, and, like, he gets reunited with his mom.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Also, let's think about how the best part of the original movie isn't in this one, which is
The
when...
drunk scene?
Yes, baby Dumbo gets drunk.
That's what made me mad, is, like, they when they did the pink elephants, and he's like, "Ooh, pink elephant," and he had this
Yeah.
little cute moment. He wasn't drunk.
No,
he was
Didn't
just
get
really
drunk.
enjoying the bubbles.
There
And
was
pink
a
elephants weren't that
moment.
fun.
There's a moment in the movie where the clowns, after like the clown scene, like are getting drunk and they like stumble in with the bucket into his thing, and Danny DeVito's character is like, "Keep the booze away from the baby."
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, that's in the movie. You give the baby the booze."
See, but I liked those little, like, paying homage to the movie without actually doing the scenes from the movie.
No, because I think like what's so weird about Dumbo is the fact that the elephant gets fucking drunk.
And the whole pink elephant scene that leads to that.
Yeah, like think of how weird Tim Burton could have made that, and he just totally was like, "Nah, we'll
Yeah.
just have like these like bubble artists in Dreamland create bubble elephants, and that'll be our pink elephant scene." I was
Yeah.
like, that's a cop out, Tim Burton. You get that elephant drunk on some absinthe, and you show him stumbling around hallucinating. Jesus Christ!
Like a real man.
Yeah, give the people what they want.
All in all, do you guys feel like it was better or worse than the original? Or do you feel about the same?
I don't think it did the first one total justice. But at the same time, there was so, like we said in our review of the original Dumbo, it was kind of boring. There are so many different avenues you could have taken this movie with a remake, and so I think they did take a lot of creative liberties and kind of went a direction with it, but it still was boring and kind of plodded along. So I don't think they enhanced it a whole lot, honestly.
Yeah. I don't think it feels its length. Like, it's almost 2 hours long, and
no,
I didn't
it
think...
feels 2 hours.
Oh,
I
didn't-
thought it felt like 3.
Oh, I thought it was quick. I was like, man, that movie flew.
No.
I was ready for a nap.
No. Dreamland hit, and I was like, it's been 84 years.
It's also, and that's another thing, it's a darker movie as far as just like the scenery, the time of day, like everything's just a little darker. There's no like bright, bubbly scenes
Well, at
that
the
really
end,
pop out.
the very end,
That's
that's
it.
when the color get, like the visuals get so beautiful at
And
the
I woke
very
up
end, all
again.
that color.
That was the only time I woke back up.
Yeah, but the rest is very dingy, darker, Tim Burton-y feeling.
It was a really weird artistic decision to have someone's hands in front of the screen for about 2 to 3 straight minutes. That
Yes,
was-
somebody did a big
Yes.
boy stretch in front of us at the
Yep,
theater.
Yep, and just like held his hands in the air. And
I tried to
directly
say
in
something
front of
to
me.
him.
I'm just sitting there, I'm like, cool.
like, he was
Listen.
on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
This is, if I had popcorn, I would have threw it at him.
We were just like, down, down,
Down, boy, down.
down.
We tried, but it
We
just
did, it
didn't
didn't
work
work. There's always someone trashy at that theater.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You should
Do
tell
we
the
talk
story.
about the trash craziness we witnessed
well.
after?
Yo, okay, so I will say the only like highlight for me, just real quick, all in all, movie was all right.
Yeah.
I could have done without it.
You don't have to see it in theaters, but it's not a bad
Like,
movie to
it's-
see.
I think Dumbo is so fucking cute.
Dumbo's
though.
really
He's
cute.
so cute.
Yes, so for Dumbo, see it. Otherwise, me. But what happened after is we walk out of this mother effing theater, guys. And I pray that these parents
They
listen to this
What
podcast
if
so I
they
can
did?
publicly shame them to their ears. We walk out of this theater, and while it's a nice movie theater that we went to, thank you, Matt, for selecting, movie theaters can be gross. They're carpet. And we know a
Yeah.
lot of shit gets trapped in carpet. There's a lot of foot traffic in a
Oh,
movie
yeah.
theater. This family, you had a mother kind of sitting, very well dressed too. Very well dressed.
We're in King of Prussia, baby.
We're in King of Prussia. King of Prussia Mall.
King of Prussia.
Bitch is sitting on the floor against what I think was like a vending machine type shit. And in front of her on the floor was her baby, easily less than 8 months old,
Just laying on its back.
just laying on its back.
On the ground.
On the ground. While some other folks around them are just talking like they're having a little get together in their living room, but it's not their living room.
It's the movie theater hallway.
the movie theater hallway, and right outside the effing door you walk out. So we're all walking out of this theater, and the mom's like, "Oh," like surprised that we interrupted their little event.
It's like, sorry.
We had a couple friends that had to go to the bathroom, and coming out of the bathroom, it was about a 5-minute wait for that whole thing to happen. They were still there the whole time, and when we
Talking.
left, they were still there. The baby was still on the fucking
Still
floor.
on the ground. I don't know what they were doing. They were having like a family reunion powwow, just like sitting there talking
Yes.
about shit.
And I think she changed that
I was
baby
going to say,
on that
I was
floor.
under the impression that she changed the baby on the floor and then just conversation continued.
Yeah, and
There's
because she was so
bathrooms for that.
relaxed too. The mom was like relaxing on the
Do you
floor.
think they're like hippies? Are they like free range parents? Like, they're like Sims. Just put your baby on the floor and go do what you need to do.
I
It'll
think
be there
they're
when you
just
get back.
stupid.
It was so weird.
It was gross. I felt bad for the child.
Like, I just walked out and see a baby on the floor, and I'm just like, what?
We almost probably hit the baby with the door coming out. It was that close.
I mean,
Yeah.
they were right there. You pretty much.
Yeah, you had to rechange your walk path as soon as you stepped out of the theater.
Yeah.
You were that close.
What
Thank
an-
God
what
I
an
looked.
Awkward way to phrase that. You had to rechange your walk path.
Side note, guys, learned last night that Matt doesn't like peanut butter, so please shame him.
Yes, everyone publicly shame Matt for not liking peanut butter.
Which ties into Dumbo because Dumbo eats peanuts.
We before we saw Dumbo, we went out to eat, and
Yes.
we had an interesting time because we went to a Latin
yeah,
kitchen and rum barn.
Yes,
Which for Andrew and I is great. We love adventurous cuisine.
phenomenal.
For producer Matt, he likes chicken fingers and cheese. So this was difficult for him. Luckily, there were a few things with cheese,
And a few things with chicken.
and a few things with chicken. But there were some interesting things that happened. Like, for one, we ordered Matt a non-alcoholic blackberry thyme mojito. I was having an alcoholic one. It was delicious. I loved it.
Very good.
Yes. Matt took a sip, and his face looked like when a baby tries a lemon for the first time.
It's precisely what it was.
Guys, the drink is just some fresh mint leaves, seltzer water, and blackberries.
That's it.
And
That's
maybe
it.
a little bit of lime. And Matt could not fucking handle that.
And I want to tell you guys, he took probably 10 sips of this drink, and
It
when he
didn't
was
move.
done, there was like, what, a millimeter
Yeah.
gone?
Mm-hmm.
Like a drop hit
Yes.
his tongue, and he,
Yeah.
it was not good.
I don't know how you're going to survive in this world.
No, we tried to get him to try ceviche.
Oh my god. We couldn't even tell him what was in it
Yes.
because we knew he wouldn't eat it if we did.
40 minutes into dinner is when he finally put the chip to his mouth. He had a slice of avocado, a slice of the fish, and a teeny little red onion.
We didn't tell him it was fish,
Yes,
though.
we didn't tell
he
him
was
what
like,
it
what
was.
is this? We're like, nothing. Just put it on there.
So what's he do? He takes a bite of just the chip and the avocado, and then decides he did then throw the fish in,
Yeah.
made again a very disgusted face, and said, I don't like it.
He's like, is this fish? And we're like, yes. He's like, no.
No. Very disappointed. But you did do another thing, which was pulled a chunk of dried cheese off of the parchment paper that our chips were on, balled it up, and put that right in his mouth.
It was just
Despite
hanging.
there being an entire plate of cheese.
Yes, there was
in
already
front
a
of
plate
him
of
from the
Fundito
queso
in front of him.
Fundito
In
chip.
my
He
defense,
reached
Like,
across all
it
of
was
that
a
to grab the
cosmetic
cheese.
choice because it was
That
bothering
fell
me
on-
that it was like just
Matt, it was
hanging
garbage.
Matt, it had fallen from someone's chip onto the parchment paper. And there's a whole fresh dish in front of you.
In front of you.
With that dip. And you're like, nope, I'm going to get this piece off the parchment paper.
Imagine he ate part of the paper.
And that's when we promptly said, Welch promptly said, you need to practice some dates.
So that's what we're doing when I get back.
Yeah, we're going on practice dates because, first of all, Matt needs to try peanut butter. Also, we can't be eating cheese off of parchment paper. That's just not something we can have anymore. So, yeah, a very interesting night overall.
Awful. Joe was nice, though.
Joe
the
was
server.
so into you.
He was a little cutie.
He was into you.
Gross.
We had this server, and like he would only make eye contact with Andrew. He did shade us once, though.
Yes.
Oh, he shaded us
He
hard.
came-
He said, called me a decision maker of the table.
Well, because I was trying to get your attention. Like, do you want more starters? And you're like, what? And I'm like, fucking pay attention. But we got the bill, and naturally, we struggle to figure out how do we pay this because we're millennials. And he comes over, and what did he say? He's like, oh, you guys having trouble with the math? I see a lot of calculators out.
Basic math. You having
Yeah.
trouble with some basic math.
And I was like, did you just fucking shade us? And he was like, no. I was like, you did, don't lie. You just shaded the fuck out of
He
us.
did.
But I think he was flirting.
That was our evening of Dumbo.
Yeah.
And
a pleasant time.
yeah,
An
great
okay
time.
movie.
Great time with great people. Okay movie. Wouldn't go see it again.
I was really excited to see the Aladdin 2 trailer, though. Aladdin 2.
The Aladdin trailer looked boss.
It did. Eddie Murphy was in it.
Yeah, so I'm excited there.
He didn't realize.
I didn't.
Again, he didn't
Guys.
fucking realize that I said Eddie Murphy. He's just like, yes, that's correct. Oh, wait. It's not. You need to work on that.
I fucking suck.
It's okay. I had ink on my head. We all have our problems.
And with
I
that
eat
being
cheese
said,
off
guys,
parchment paper, we're all fucked up.
Yeah, Matt doesn't like peanut butter. He eats cheese off of paper.
that that is what the Dysfunctional DisNeatho podcast has to share about Dumbo. I should have done all D's for that in that sentence.
Well,
but
Dysfunctional DisNeatho.
Dumbo discussion.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's Friday, guys. Please have yourselves
A wonderful weekend.
yes. And well, you're gonna listen to this on like a Tuesday, so have a great rest of your week.
Yeah. Forgot about that.
And you know, if you would like to share your thoughts on Dumbo, if you've seen the film, if you haven't already posted it to our page, you little eager beavers, DisNeathoes,
Yeah.
please feel free to hit us up. If you would like, on social media, our Facebook group, DisNeathoes, or you can hit us up on the social media platforms of Instagram or Twitter at DisNeatho Podcast. You can also shoot Matt, producer Matt, an email at DisNeathoPodcast@gmail.com or check out our website, DisNeathoPodcast.com. Additionally, check us out on iTunes or Spotify.
Well, I mean, if they're already listening to this, they're checking us out
Yeah.
somewhere.
Tell your friends.
Yeah,
Oh,
tell
shit.
your friends to
Why did
check
I say
us
that
out.
last time
I
then?
didn't know so.
Well, what if they're not
No, 'cause we
listening
were
to us?
talking
They
about
could listen to us
sharing,
on our
right?
website.
But rate and review and subscribe and all of that good stuff because it helps our standings on different social media sites.
Yeah, and I gotta pay rent, guys. So really
Yeah,
get on
please,
that
help
Spotify.
me out.
But otherwise, yeah, that's it.
That's it, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey!
Yeah, it's on your forehead.
Yeah,
Is it really? Why didn't you fucking tell me?
Because I've been enjoying it the whole
this
podcast.
whole time?
I was going to tell
Where
you
is
as soon as we
it?
were done
Right
recording.
up here, just a bunch of ink smudge.
You guys are the fucking
Oh,
worst.
it's gone. Just
Give
wipe
me
on
your fucking
seat.
phone. No, I'm...
My camera doesn't pull up. Oh,
Oh.
there it is.
But
This whole time I've had
It's like
fucking
gone
ink
now.
on my head.
It's like gone.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.